Hello guys, just want to show off DevPro here. It's a Yu-Gi-Oh simulator that I found. Now the reason I want to talk about DevPro is that I used to use Dueling Network for dueling purposes, but the problem with Dueling Network as of now, it's recently had a couple of incidents where it's just been crashing and everybody's getting disconnected. I know they're just trying to recover from a hard drive crash, but it's kind of annoying when you just want to get on, duel some people, and then you can't because their server is down. So I ended up finding DevPro, which is another Wood simulator, but I like it a little more. Well, I should say probably a lot more now, because it has all the rulings embedded into the system. The game is unlike Dueling Network, where you have to pretty much send cards to the grave yourself, and you could pretty much do what you wanted, but you had to you would play by rulings of the both players would know the rules of the game. But DevPro on the other hand has the rulings built in per card. So when you activate Sword, it's going to automatically flip all of your opponent's Sword Revealing Light. It's going to automatically flip all your opponent's monsters face up and proc their effects and everything like it's supposed to happen. You activate a Fisher, it's going to automatically destroy your opponent's lowest attack point monster unless they have a counter. Now if your opponent has a counter, it's going to ask them if they want to use it or not. If they choose not to, then it goes through. If not, they can then activate the card and counter. It'll show you each card that you can counter with and whatnot. So that being said, the other reason I also like DevPro is it has its own music, which to me, a game with its own music, or a simulator with its own music, it's always nice because music sets the tone of everything. So Dueling Network was nice, but I mean I would have to play my own music, and it's not the same as if it was the game's music. The game is a bit of personality, and it's built for that. When you're playing your own music, it's your own personal liking. So it's not exactly going to give you the same feel for the game. DevPro gives you its own music, whether you're at an advantage or at a disadvantage, whether you win or lose, it's got its own music. And that is something that is spectacular for any game. Now what I'm going to show is the first ever duel that my friend and I did. We both found this around the same time, DevPro. We used to use Dueling Network all the time, like I said, but we found DevPro and we fell in love with it immediately. His name is Mike or Vandillus, or as he likes to go by on DevPro as Ninja Kid 69. We're gonna be going with our best decks, or the decks that we consider our best, which is my Malefic deck and his Arcanite deck. Two completely different style decks, and we thought we're gonna have some, great time in here. So, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and show you the duel. I'm gonna try my best to commentate it. This is my first time ever commentating, so it's probably gonna suck, but hey, that's the best part about it. Anyways, let's get started. Alright, so here we go as we start. I was lucky enough to win the rock, paper, scissors, so I drew my 6 cards, which is a Gear Town, Trade-In, Mirror Force, Deck Devastation Virus, Monster Reborn, and a Malefic Stardust Dragon. To me, this is a pretty good hand. I got my monster, I got a field card to keep my monster alive, and I got a few stall cards. And I have a bit of draw power with Trade-In should I draw another monster that I can use for Trade-In purposes. Mike starts off with a Gather Your Mind, which I know he uses to build counters, a Terraforming to get his spell card, Knights and Sorcerer for Synchroing, and I believe also, I'm trying to remember his deck because I don't exactly know his Arcanite, but he can also, I know he mostly uses it for Synchroing and to help destroy your opponent's graveyard. His Geomancer the Ice Barrier, and a Toon Table of Contents, which I know he also uses for getting counters on his Magic Citadel. Anyways, so main phase, I start off by placing down my Gear Town and special summoning Malefic Stardust Dragon by banishing from my extra deck a Stardust Dragon. Now, Malefic Stardust Dragon, you think that's a pretty easy way to get him out, but it does have a few drawbacks. One, only one Malefic monster can be out on the field. This includes for you or your opponent. So if he has a Malefic monster, now that I have Malefic Stardust on the field, he can't summon his Malefic monster. But on the downside again is only my Malefic Stardust Dragon can attack on my side of the field. So if I summon any other monster, only Malefic Stardust Dragon can attack. So the other monster will just be pretty much just defense up, or maybe for their effects. And the downside is, should my field card be destroyed, I would lose my Malefic monster. And that's a staple for any Malefic monster. Should the field card be destroyed, you lose the monster as well. They gotta have a field card. It doesn't have to be, it can be any field card, but there just has to be a field card on the field. Malefic Stardust's other effect, his final effect, is he can prevent the destruction of my field card via effect, but it could still be replaced by another field card, but he cannot Mystical Space Typhoon or Heavy Storm it away. At least I'm pretty sure he can't. So, continuing on, I go ahead and set 2 cards down, a Deck Devastation Virus and a Mirror Force. And just so people that didn't know what Deck Devastation does, you pretty much tribute a dark monster with 2,000 or more attack. I can check my opponent's hand and field. Any monster with 1,500 or less attack is sent to the graveyard. and this is active for 3 of my opponent's turns, I believe. Yeah, I believe. And so, continuing on. He goes ahead and draws his tricky main phases into a terraform, grabs his magical citadel, and uses it to replace my gear town. That was a pretty that's an okay play, because now we're playing on his field, so we're playing on his turns pretty much. The downside though of replacing my gear town is that it was sent from the field to the grave, so I could proc its second effect. When this card is sent from the field to the grave, I can special summon an Ancient Gear monster from my hand deck graveyard. I chose Ancient Gear Gadgetron Dragon. The reason I choose this card mostly is it's an 8-star, it could be used for trade-in, and when I trade it in, it's in the graveyard. I could still proc its effect with Gear Town. So great card to use in combination like that to just, keep drawing cards, have some draw power, and it gives field presence. Maybe if I had another, maybe if I found a way to destroy it by like destroying my Stardust Dragon and then he mysticals my Gear Town, I could still bring out another monster to keep field presence. I would always want to keep field presence on the field. I don't ever want to be without a monster. He goes ahead and he activates Tricky's effect, which lets him discard a card from his hand to special summon the card onto the field. Great effect, because now he could just normal summon into a pretty much. He could special summon it, so he could still normal summon. He can then normal summon Knights and Sorcerers, synchro for 7, I believe, which is what Arcanite is. And at that point, he can just begin popping my field. Thinking that now that since he summoned that, I figured I could activate my Deck Devastation Virus before he can get anything going. And I tribute. The reason I would also want to activate Deck Devastation Virus is I didn't know what his hand was, so I was thinking my Gadgetron Dragon is stronger, but I can't attack with him because of Malefic Stardust. So I figured a good way to see what he has in his hand and what he may be planning would be to activate Deck Devastation Virus, because I get to still see his hand. I get rid of my Malefic Stardust, and Gadgetron can attack freely, which is a much stronger monster. And if he should have any trap cards, Gadgetron's effect, when he attacks, no magic or no spell or trap cards can be activated until the end of the damage step between the fight. So he can't mirror force it, negate it, or anything like that. It's just a head-on attack. Great card for fighting. Downside is that since I activated Deck Devastation Virus, I destroyed his Knights and Sorcerer and his Geomancer, which completely stopped him from synchroing. And now he only has one card in his hand, which I knew was a table of contents. So at this point, he's far behind. I have the hand advantage, I got the field advantage. Sure, we're playing on his field card, but all he has right now is a 2,000 attack point Tricky versus my 3,000 Ancient Gear Gadgetron Dragon. Not what I would call safe for him. So he ends up having to end his turn. I draw my card, and I get Fighting Spirit. Another great card to have when you're just gonna stick to one monster that you want to just bleep up. Pretty much, when equipped to a monster, it gains 300 attack for every monster that my opponent controls, and should my monster be destroyed by battle, I can then send Fighting Spirit to the grave to have, and that gets destroyed instead. So my monster's off for one more turn. Maybe I could save it or something. Continuing on, main phase 1, I go straight into a battle, destroy his Tricky, he takes 1,000 points of damage, and I end my turn. Next turn, he draws a card. Sadly, he drew Honest, which it would have been a great card to destroy my Ancient Gadgetron Dragon or any monster I control, since when it's activated during the damage step, during the battle phase, it gains attack equal to the monster. So it would have just wrecked any of my Malefics. Any monster that could have destroyed any one of my Malefics. But because of Deck Devastation Virus still being in effect, it gets him straight to the graveyard. So that's pretty bad for him there. And Honest is limited to 1 per deck, so that's a harsh blow for him. So he goes, not being able to do anything, just ends his turn. Deck Devastation is still in effect. I draw a card, and I drew Montage Dragon. Montage Dragon is one of my most powerful cards in the game, in my deck I should say, because of its effect, where I contribute 3 monsters from my hand to special summon, and it gains attack equal to 300 times the total levels of all the cards sent. Since I mostly run 7 to 12 star monsters in my deck, it's very easy to just bring on like a 5,000, 8,000, even a 12,000 beater out. If I'm lucky enough to get like tons of just if I could just like give me 2 Truth Dragons, which are 12 stars, and like anything else, I could just easily bring out a high level beater to do a 1-hit KO attack. Great card in my opinion for winning duels. But seeing as if I'm so ahead, I decided to use it as trade-in. So I traded in, draw 2 cards, and I drew Malefic World and Battle Mania. I go ahead and replace his field card with my own Malefic World, so I can draw Malefics from straight out of my deck. With its effect where it's I put 3 cards face down. My opponent chooses one of them, and the 3 cards they put face down are of course Malefics. He chooses one of them, I get it to my hand, and the other to go back to my deck. Great way to keep getting Malefics if I need to keep getting them. Excuse me. The other card I got was Battle Mania, which pretty much forces activate during my opponent's standby phase and forces any monster he has face up to be in attack position, and it has to battle my cards. Again, great since I can usually only have one monster on the field, or like one strong Malefic, so I could force him to attack me and destroy his own monsters. Or I could force it maybe into a Mirror Force if it's a monster I can't deal with. Force it into a Mirror Force and destroy it. So, battle phase, I attack again directly for 3,000 points of damage. At this point, I have double his life points, I'm ahead. He has no field, I know that all he has is a twin table of content. I'm in a really good position here. I got field control, I got my field card, I got a 3,000 beater, I got my Battle Mania, my Mirror Force, Monster Reborn. I have everything where I want to be. Right now, this is the point where I'm really confident, where I can just attack head on and not worry about anything. He goes ahead and draws. Sad for him, he drews Oracle of the Sun. 1,000 attack points. Deck Devastation is still destroying his cards. They're getting straight from the hand to the grave. So at this point, he can't do anything again. End phase, Deck Devastation is still in effect. I believe that might have been its last turn. He has really nothing on the field. At this point, I could just attack directly again for 3,000, but I just want to end the duel. So I draw my card, another Malefic World. I could have used my Malefic, the current Malefic World on the field to draw a Malefic Dragon. But I was hoping to maybe get like a skill drain or something else, maybe another Mirror Force, which I don't think I have two actually. But I was really hoping to grab like a skill drain or just like something else that would help me out, maybe a Gear Town. Because I like Gear Town sometimes a little more than Malefic World because I could keep getting Gatatron Dragons. But whatever, I drew another Malefic World, which is great because in case he might have drawn his field card, I could have then just replaced it once again on my turn and just keep the field on my side. So at this point, I go ahead, Monster Reborn his own Tricky. This is pretty much GG. He has nothing to defend at all. All he can do now is just take the damage, 3,000, 2,000, and that ends the duel right there on a perfect victory on my end. Now, we really didn't get to see much of his deck because my Deck Devastation virus really just destroyed it. And we didn't get to see my deck either in play, revolving around Skill Drain. And should he manage to destroy one of my Malefic monsters, I like to bring a Truth Dragon. Which pretty much when a Malefic monster is destroyed, I can special summon it from my hand or the graveyard. I pay half my life points to do this, but it's a 5,000 attack, 5,000 defense. Very strong monster, and when it destroys one monster on the field, it destroys the rest of his monsters on the field. Beautiful card for just plowing through enemies. I mean, it is again one of the staple cards of my deck. Now I know that his Arcanite deck destroys by effect. Should he have gotten out his Arcanite, my whole field probably would have been gone. Because he can just remove counters to destroy cards on the field, and he could just easily just pop on my cards, and then I would have been boned. So it really is who can get their combos out fastest, who can destroy what fast, and know what they're doing. I gotta say that this was the first duel, and I did win it pretty much flawlessly, but it was by luck, and the fact that I stopped him from getting out his Arcanite Magician. But all in all, his Arcanite, don't take this as his deck being weak. No, his deck is by far one of the strongest I've ever fought and tough to beat. But you know, just showing off DevPro, and shout out to Mike for you know, dueling with me here. And hopefully we'll be uploading more of our duels. Maybe I'll have a duel commentary with him. Maybe we'll do tag team duels also, because that sounds like fun to do. And you know, DevPro allows us to do all this, and we don't even have to fight about rulings now. It's the best thing. We can just build our decks, try them out with the rules how they're supposed to be played, and just have fun. So I honestly recommend people to download DevPro. In my opinion, I think it's better than Dueling Network. Anyways, I'm out.